Hello, this is Sudhir Kumar Dwivedi, Assistant Professor, GEMTech School of Law. The lecture which I am going to deliver today is related with the topic extent and applicability of the Indian Evidence Act under the subject Law of Evidence. When we talk about the extent and applicability of the act, then in general the extent means the territorial extension of the Indian Evidence Act, and applicability means under what procedure, in which procedure this act will apply. So if we analyze the section 1 of the Indian Evidence Act, we find that as per section 1 the Indian Evidence Act applies to whole of India except the state of the Jammu and Kashmir. But as we know that the situation of the Jammu and Kashmir has been changed by the amendment of the constitution in article 370 and article 35A, and as per the latest notification of the Home Ministry, it has been instructed or advertised by the Home Ministry that all the central laws will applicable on the Jammu and Kashmir as well. So by that notification it can be said that now the Indian Evidence Act will apply on the Jammu and Kashmir as well. Though there has not been changes has not been made in BEAR Acts as well, but I suppose when the latest BEAR Act will released, the same will take effect in book as well. The next thing is we need to understand the applicability of the Indian Evidence Act. If we analyze the section 1 of the Indian Evidence Act, then we find that as per section 1 it says that it will apply to all judicial proceedings in or before any court. So it's talk about the judicial proceeding, then it is important to understand what is the judicial proceeding and what is the non-judicial proceeding. First of all, we will see what is the judicial proceeding. Judicial proceeding has not been defined in the Indian Evidence Act, but as per general definition which has been provided by the various jurists, judicial proceeding means that when any inquiry is judicial, if the object is of such a nature to determine the jural relation between one person and another, or a group of person, or between him and the community generally. So it should be borne in mind that even if a judge is acting without such an object, means if the object is not to determine what is the jural relation between the person or persons, then the action taken by the even the judges will not fall under the category of the judicial proceeding. In the same way, if we analyze the section 2 of the criminal procedure code, in which under section 2 it has been defined that judicial proceeding includes any proceeding in the course of which evidence is or may be legally taken on oath. So if we analyze section 2 of the criminal procedure code, then we find that where in any proceeding the evidence is taken on oath or may be taken on oath, then that proceeding is considered as a judicial proceeding. Let us see some example of the judicial proceeding. The proceeding under chapter 9 of the CRPC is considered as a judicial proceeding. It has been held by the Allahabad High Court that the proceeding under chapter 9 of the CRPC, that is relating with the maintenance proceeding under section 125 to 128 of the criminal procedure code, maintenance proceeding has been provided, and that proceeding has been declared as a judicial proceeding. In the same way, execution proceeding, we know under our Order 21 of the criminal procedure code, the execution proceeding has been given and if any execution proceeding is taking place, then that proceeding will be considered as a judicial proceeding, and the Indian Evidence Act will apply. In the same way, section 97, which is related with the search warrant, section 145, which is related with the water or land dispute, section 340, which is related with the proceeding which has been taken under section 195 of the CRPC, all has been declared as a judicial proceeding. These are some examples of the judicial proceeding, and as already declared by the section 1 and discussed here, that Indian Evidence Act apply on all judicial proceeding. In the same way, it is equally important to understand what is the non-judicial proceeding. Unless and until the student will not be able to understand what is the difference between judicial and proceeding and non-judicial proceeding, they will not be able to understand whether the Indian Evidence Act apply or not. We have already discussed the judicial proceeding. Now let's see what is the non-judicial proceeding. As general definition, non-judicial proceeding means where there is no discretion is to be exercised and no judgment is to be formed, but something is to be done as a duty, then it may be an administrative proceeding but not a judicial proceeding. We already discussed in judicial proceeding that juror relation is determined, judicial mind is applied to take decision, but in non-judicial proceeding it is done as a duty. It is not necessary that the person is applying its judicial mind. It is the order has been made as administrative action, then that action, that order will not fall in the category of the judicial proceeding. So on that proceeding the Indian Evidence Act will not apply. Let us see some example of the non-judicial proceeding. First one is an inquiry by collector under the Land Acquisition Act. Suppose any project has been declared by the government, whether it may be state government or the central government, that for any project some land is to be acquired, and for that purpose collector is conducting an inquiry to find out to whom the land is belonging, what is the circle rate, how the compensation should be paid to the farmer or the person to whom the land is belonging. All these proceeding is considered as a non-judicial proceeding. Another example can be a departmental inquiry. Suppose some fraud has been committed or some misconduct has been committed by any employee of any department. We can take the latest example of the Vikas Dubey case, which has recently taken place in the Kanpur, where the 8 policemen were killed by the said gangster Vikas Dubey and his colleagues or friends, and there is some suspicion on the policemen as well that they have given the prior information to the Vikas Dubey that some raid is to be conducted, and prima facie, since it was found, and a departmental inquiry has been started against the so-called SO of that particular police station. And if such inquiry is going against any particular employee in any department, then that inquiry is not considered as a judicial proceeding, so the Indian Evidence Act will not apply on that proceeding. In the same way, it has been held in Sisir Kumar versus State of West Bengal, AIR 1995, Calcutta 183, that if any contempt proceeding has started in any court, then that contempt proceeding will not be considered as a judicial proceeding. Generally, the contempt proceeding is take place when some order of the court has not been followed, and if the court is taking action against the person who is not following the order of the court, then such proceeding is generally considered as an administrative proceeding by the court. That's why it is said, it has been held that since such order are generally considered as administrative order, that's why it will not fall in the category of the judicial proceeding, so the Indian Evidence Act will not apply in contempt proceeding in general. Okay, The next point we need to understand that Indian Evidence Act applies to court martial proceeding as well, except the court martial under the Army Act, the Naval Discipline Act, the Indian Navy Act, and the Air Force Act. So if any court martial proceeding is taking place in any other act, then Indian Evidence Act will apply. It is generally said by the some students, or in general it is said that Indian Evidence Act doesn't apply on the court martial proceeding, but it is not true, because the act specifically mention that this act will apply on court martial proceeding except when the court martial proceeding is taking place under the said act, like the Army Act and the Air Force Act. Suppose if the court martial proceeding is taking place under the Marine Act, under the Merchant Navy Act, then the Indian Evidence Act will definitely apply. So the general saying or the general presumption that Indian Evidence Act doesn't apply on the court martial proceeding is not right. The Indian Evidence Act apply on the court martial proceeding. There are four exceptions where this act doesn't apply, and we already discussed that is the Army Act when the proceeding is under the Army Act, Indian Naval Discipline Act, the Indian Navy Act, and the Air Force Act. The next thing we need to know that as per section 1 of the Indian Evidence Act, this act doesn't apply on the affidavits. It is the general explanation of the section 1 that Indian Evidence Act doesn't apply on the affidavit. But if we the proceeding, whether in the criminal court or in civil court, we finds that there is no doubt that affidavits are used as a mode of proof, it is always open to the court to take into consideration all the facts alleged in the affidavit if they have not been contravened by the in the counter affidavit. The provisions for the affidavits are made in Civil Procedure Code under 19 Rule 1, 2 and 3 and section 295, 296 and 297 of the Criminal Procedure Code 1973. So we can say as general the Indian Evidence Act doesn't apply on the on the affidavit, but as I already said that affidavits are considered as a mode of proof unless there is some contraventing provision in counter affidavit. So though as a general Indian Evidence Act doesn't apply on the affidavit, but affidavit is considered as a mode of proof. We have generally heard that the court gives direction to the parties, kindly find affidavit regarding so and so fact. So if the court has not directed the proof of the fact by an affidavit, then it will not be considered as evidence. It has been held in Vishwanath versus Abdul AIR 1963 Supreme Court cases 1. In the same way, Supreme Court in Srimati Sudha Devi versus MP Narayan AIR 1988 Supreme Court cases 138, Supreme Court said that in section 3 of Evidence Act, affidavit is not included in the definition of the evidence, and the affidavit can only be included in the definition of the evidence if the court has passed order under order 19 Rule 123 of the Civil Procedure Code on sufficient ground. In the same way, in the lower court also, the affidavit cannot be read as a evidence to prove some evidence or to prove some fact. Any such decree which is based on affidavit filed before the court should not be deemed to be based upon any evidence, and that decree should be treated as nullity. So what is the nutshell of this discussion is that generally affidavit is not considered as evidence, but if the court has ordered that certain facts should be proved on evidence, then by applying the order 19 rule 1 and 2 3, affidavit may be considered as a evidence. And in the same way, in Nirmala versus Hari Singh, AIR 2001, Himachal Pradesh 2001, mean 2001, it was held by the court that affidavits are not included in section 3 of the Evidence Act. An affidavit cannot be used in evidence unless law specifically permits certain matters to be proved by affidavit. As I already told you guys, that unless and until the court has not given a direction that certain facts should be proved on affidavit, the affidavit will not be considered as evidence. So in general, what has been declared in section 1, that section Indian Evidence Act doesn't apply on affidavit, is true, but there are certain exceptions, as we already discussed, that when a direction has been given by the court that certain facts should be proved on affidavit, then affidavit may be considered as a mode of proof. The reason why these affidavit is not considered as evidence, the reason is that the deponents of the affidavit is not subject to cross examination for the declaration made in such affidavit. Means to say, since something has been spoken on oath in affidavit, it is considered as a true fact that since I am considering speaking something on oath, so it is general presumption that I will speak truth. The reason why these affidavits are not considered as evidence, the reason is that, which has been declared by the court, that if the person is not able for the purpose of the cross examination whether he is speaking truth or not, means when the person is not making available himself to cross check his veracity, then such affidavit should not be considered as evidence. That is the basic reason why generally the affidavit is not considered as evidence. The last point which has been declared in the section 1 of the Indian Evidence Act is that Indian Evidence Act doesn't apply on arbitral proceeding. So doesn't apply on the arbitral proceeding. Why this provision has been made? If we try to analyze the basic motto of the Arbitration or Conciliation Act 1996, then we find that the basic motto is that to avoid the technical rules of the proceeding of the evidence, so that party of the suit may feel comfortable and without falling in the technicality of the proceeding of the evidence, a conclusion can be drawn, some point of the consent may be drawn, so that the time of the court, the time of the parties, money and everything could be saved by adopting these provisions. That's why these provision has been promoted by the government, that we should adopt the arbitration when it is possible in any case. So the time of the court will save, the time of the parties will save, money of the parties will save, and there will be much happier situation because both parties make consent on some point. The basic purpose of the arbitral proceeding is that. So if we apply the Indian Evidence Act on the arbitral proceeding, so we will again insert the technicalities of the evidence in the arbitral proceeding. That's why this is the intention of the legislature, that it has been declared that Indian Evidence Act doesn't apply on the arbitral proceeding. In the same way, section 19 of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996 declares that the technicalities of the Indian Evidence Act doesn't apply on the arbitral proceeding. That's all about the extent and applicability of the Indian Evidence Act in nutshell, we can say that after the amendment in Article 370 of the Indian Constitution, the Indian Evidence Act apply to whole India, and in regard to applicability, except certain exception like arbitration proceeding, affidavit, and few exception to the court martial proceeding, the Indian Evidence Act apply to all judicial proceedings. Thank you.